And so now, we'd like to talk about the backdrop of technology. Pew Research did an intergenerational study and found that technology was the factor that millennials most identified as the number one factor that differentiated them from every other generation. So technology is the number one thing. Previous generations, it was like rock and roll and my clothes, fight the power, you know. With millennials, it's technology. And if you ask the other generations, they actually agree too. They say the thing that differentiates millennials is technology. In fact, they won't look at me because they're looking at their phones, even at Thanksgiving dinner. Bummer. So technology. It's been incorporated into every part of their lives. This stat doesn't hold up nationwide. The number is more like 86% own a smartphone, but among our target audience, 98% own a smartphone. That's within the margin of error for 100%. So I think you can basically assume that everybody has a smartphone. And they're all using multiple social media services. So 90% are using, this is a test, Facebook. There's an exodus from Facebook so that they can be their more authentic selves elsewhere because their parents and teachers are on Facebook. It's true. Facebook has become more like email. They only use email to communicate with teachers, and they use it's complicated. Can we connect after about? It's complicated. All right, so 72% use, 62% use, 45% use. Oh, this is good. I thought that would trip you guys up. 31% use, 21% use. God. I was expecting this moment where it was like really awkward and you didn't know. Nice job, guys. But that's really high penetration among all of those services. And there's a high level of sophistication that millennials use in calibrating their broadcasting across different media to reach different people for different purposes. I think more important in the near term to us is that technology is how they plan and execute travel. And we've broken it down by PC and mobile. And the digital travel planning thing shouldn't be a surprise. The one thing that stuck out to me is just how high these mobile numbers are. So focusing on those, browsing travel sites and blogs, more than half of millennials do that. Booking travel, almost half are booking via mobile today. And that number is probably going to keep going up. Seeing ads about travel, more than half. Some of them even use apps for travel ideas, which 2/3 say that they do that. So technology is how they plan and execute, and it's important to note that the ability to use mobile to do all of these things, from exploratory to transactional, has just become par for the course for the way that millennials use technology for travel. Reviews are part of these websites, which we loosely group with the topic of technology, and we found some interesting stuff around reviews. So some of them make a lot of sense. Most people say that they can draw their own conclusions about a destination if there are a lot of reviews. It's like maybe there are a lot of good ones and the bad ones sound like they were written by crazy people. It's like usually you can sort of like identify more with the positive ones. 72% say that it means a lot of people have been there, which means that might be a good thing. A lot have been there, a lot say it's good. And most say that that's reassuring. The catch with reviews is, and it's interesting in particular with a destination like the Adirondacks, is that more than half say that sometimes they want to explore places that are off the beaten path and don't have a lot of reviews. There's a tension there. They need the reassurance. Think again about that social pressure, but they also want to explore off the beaten path. And around 3 in 10, not a huge number, but a non-trivial number, say that a place with lots of reviews is less likely to be unique and authentic, which I found pretty interesting. One woman in Albany in one of our focus groups summed it up best. You know, it's like maybe we all want that. It's like I want to feel 100% reassured that this is going to be great, but I also want to take a photo of myself under a waterfall with crystalline water pouring on me that I can post on Instagram saying, nobody's ever been here, I discovered this. Yeah, so there's a tension there, and I think it's a tension that we can actually play with because we do have places that are off the beaten path. And so we can appeal to, I think, this side of the instincts that people have around reviews and online research. So there's a generational trap at work. Just watch it one more time. It says, he's out there, he's outdoors. Yes, I'm posting to Facebook. I'm lying. So I think the point of this slide is just to say that there are stereotypes about millennials. And one of those is that they're a bunch of narcissistic, selfie-taking, digitally addicted people who are just trying to build a phony identity online. That was very specific, but did that sound did that sound correct? Even if you don't admit to believing that yourself, has anybody sort of felt like they've heard that? So this is a generational trap. It's something the older among us don't really understand. And what's especially important to us is that we don't fall for this trap. People aren't mad that there's not wireless coverage because they can't stumble around the park not taking selfies of themselves. The reason that this is a big issue is because they use digital for everything. 93% for maps and navigation, 88% to find cultural activities, 87% to find the next place to eat, 87% to get ideas for activities. They do these while they're here. They're improvising. They may have planned that skeleton of the trip, but they're also kind of navigating within that to figure out what they're going to do next. So I know that this is one of those big, hairy obstacles that we have, but just anything that we can do to align the tools that we have with the way that they naturally do stuff, because they're not going to stop doing this. Like, this is just how it's done now. And we are at a disadvantage right now. So one thing we found surprised me a little, just in general, about all travel destinations. We asked them about all destinations' official sites or apps, is that a lot of people say they use them. 82% say they use them before they're at the destination, and 69% say they use them while they're at the destination. I thought they were going to be like too cool and alternate to use like the official website of a travel destination, but it turns out they do. And they use it for reasons that are probably fairly predictable and similar to other generations: find activities, things to do, places to stay, how to get there, the ability to plan a trip, perhaps starting to maybe get a little far-fetched. And then down below half, links to reviews and social posts. So we've talked about the importance of, how much social media means to them in terms of getting ideas. But I don't know if we necessarily have the credibility to be the one pushing those out. They need to find them organically. They need to find them not from a third party with a commercial motive, a profit motive, which raises the question, how do we gain a bigger organic footprint? We have less elasticity in our permission to do this through our own properties. So it's just something to think about. Or maybe we do it and just make 36% of people really happy. Maybe it doesn't piss off anybody else. So there are some implications here with technology. Digital isn't just a medium. Approaching mobile, social, content, advertising, and booking as sort of a united front is important. It's an ecosystem that starts the minute they get an idea through social media, that's technology, to the research they do perhaps on their phone is technology, to booking a transaction on their computer is technology, to real-time planning of their trip while they're here is technology, to distributing the stories and photos and other media from their trip after the trip is over by technology, which then feeds the circle back to their friends who might be looking for inspiration. A lot of people talk about a travel journey. It starts with sort of like awareness and consideration and planning and transacting and then going. I think you could look at the millennial one that's technology-driven more as a cycle or a circle. It's like you go through the process, and it's the people coming out of the process who are telling the stories that are becoming the marketing for the people at this phase of the process. And so thinking about this way of how do we make the circle get bigger and bigger and bigger is something I think that's really important to think about. Reviews are a huge draw, but sometimes they're the enemy of unique. We need more reviews, and we need to emphasize that some of the experiences we offer don't have any, and that's a good thing. I had a weird fever dream during this project where there was an ad campaign on the subway of New York, and there was just a picture of the Adirondacks, and there was a little thing that said no reviews for this location. And like everybody would just get it like a dog whistle and be like, that's cool, I want to go there. Don't do that, because that would fail miserably. Like I said, it was a fever dream. So the stereotypes about selfies, but millennials use technology for everything at the destination, and we need to offer more ways for them to plan in real time. And destination websites are important, but we don't have broad permission to elevate some of the social stuff that actually really moves the needle, and we have to think about how we get into millennials' organic digital bubbles.